Don't let the news coverage of premium podcasting fool you. The bulk of podcasting, from production all the way to consumption, will be done by hobbyists. But that doesn't mean the free space is safe from future changes. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. Yesterday, I freaked you out by telling you that the short head of podcasting will be dominated by premium content that you'll have to pay for to listen to. But I promised today a much better story. Because here's the reality. A short head has a long tail. And the long tail of podcasting is hobbyist, free content that anybody can enjoy. That's the long tail, which means the bulk of content that we podcasters create, all of the episodes that we do, the vast majority of that, if you added up all of that content, it will outnumber, probably by far, it will definitely be the majority of the content that is being created. All the individual episodes from hobbyists will outnumber that short head. And that's the way it has to be. Because we can't all make blockbusters. We can't all, 750,000 of us today, soon to be 1 million, we can't all make content that is consumed by tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, and certainly not millions of people. That's just reality. So, we've got plenty of room on that long tail to do amazing stuff in podcasting, so don't worry. Don't worry. If you have no designs on making your podcast into a premium content, relax. It's good. You can still do the things you want to do. However, he says, that doesn't mean that you are free from changes to this space. Because look, when premium podcast starts to really get off the ground, and again, as I said yesterday, we're just in the early stages of premium podcasting right now. Once it hits, it will cause a seismic shift all the way through the industry, which will ripple down to those of us who are making free content available. And really what it's going to mean is that we're going to want to up our game. We're not going to have to up our game. That's fine. You do not have to up your game at all. However, I would like to remind you that as more people come into our space, as more listeners come in who have been experiencing these really high-quality, great shows, their expectations are significantly higher than they are currently today. And we got to respond to that or choose to ignore it. I mean, you are free to choose to ignore it. Don't forget, you are in control of the content that you make. What you're not in control of is what people do with that content or not do with that content. No control there whatsoever. But again, you are the master of your own program, so you can do what you will. So yeah, quality is going to increase. Quality is going to have to increase if you want to continue to gain audience share. Now, maybe you're comfortable. Maybe you've got a few hundred listeners. And you've had a few hundred listeners for a while now. You know, I would be excited about having a few hundred listeners. Most people, I should say, let me rephrase that. Most people would be very excited if they had a few hundred people every week that showed up to listen to them talk. Everybody that I know, most people that I know, definitely all the hobbyists that I know, would love it if the thing that they did for their hobby gathered an audience of a few hundred people. That would be a huge success. And if it's not a few hundred, maybe it's a few thousand. That's fine too. That's a great thing to have. But let's say you're not satisfied with that. Let's discuss the idea that you've seen those numbers, hundreds or thousands, and it's been relatively static for a while, and you want it to grow. Okay, how do you make that growth happen in this world where you're a hobbyist podcaster? Well, you have to change. And that's what the future is going to require you to do, is to make some changes. Again, you don't have to do that, but you'll stay static and constant. If you want to grow, if you want to adapt to the way the future is taking place, then you're going to have to change, which means your show format is going to have to change. And that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to make those sorts of changes. And that's okay. You don't have to do that. But just remember, the pressure is going to be on from groups who are listening, who have expected better quality content. There's also going to be pressure for you to be in different places. I talked about that last week. All the places you need to be. In the future, that's going to continue to stay fractured. Lots of places, which means you, the hobbyist podcaster, if you really want to reach a new audience in other places, you're going to have to invest time in being in those other places. Now, hopefully the future will come along with some service providers to help us get our content, our full content, by the way. I'm not talking about marketing. Hopefully the technology will follow along in the future, which makes it much easier for us to distribute our content, our entire episodes, on different medium where new people are consuming content. We hope that's there, but we have to do it. We have to go figure out where those places are. You have to do that. You have to figure out where those places are and how you can adapt and change to those. By the way, having Hobbyist podcast continue to dominate the long tail, which is going to continue forever, that doesn't necessarily mean that all those Hobbyist podcasts stay free. Doesn't. I think many of the Hobbyist podcasts we'll see that continue to dominate that long tail will choose to play around with the premium model. I think you should play around with it too, as long as you're able to. And the future's going to make it, actually the present's making it a lot easier to start experimenting with that model right now, if in fact you want to, if in fact you understand the economics and you have an audience where that makes sense. It might not. It might make sense for you to keep doing the free thing ongoing. But notice I didn't say keep doing the free thing you're doing right now. Look, I'm a future positive guy. I love change. And I know that many of you out there right now might be not quite as future crazy and change ready as I am. I get it. And again, you don't have to change. But, if you really want to take advantage of this new future, because it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. If you want to take advantage of the new future, you are going to have to change. But you can still be a hobbyist. No one's saying you can't do that. But you are going to have to change. Now, tomorrow I'm going to continue this series. I'm doing 10 different predictions of the future for the next 2.5 weeks. This was number 2. Number 3 is coming up tomorrow. Even more great stuff. But before I go, 3 things. 1, check out that Flick group that I have. Flick.group/podcast pontifications. Yes, link in the episode details. Growing. New people are coming in every day, having an ongoing conversation. Totally free as well, by the way. If you want to show your support for me and the program, go to buymeacoffee.com/evoterra and buy me a coffee. I would love it if you decided to buy me a coffee every single month. That helps keep the show going and pay for the crazy stuff I just put in the studio, which makes it sound much better. Yay. And then finally, if you are a business or are in business and you need someone with you making sure that your podcasting efforts are, well, what they should be for your business goals, why, that's what I do. Please get in touch. evo@podcastlaunch.pro. Go to podcastlaunch.pro for a list of all the services we offer clients all around the globe. That's it. I shall be back tomorrow with yet another Podcast Pontifications. Cheers.